Welcome to A Moment of Xen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Xen Sams takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, politics, and entertainment from the millennial mom's perspective. Here's your host, Xen Sams.
Hello, my beautiful friends and loyal listeners. It's always a pleasure to spend my time with you on the airwaves. Thank you for listening and interacting with me on social media. That truly does make it all worthwhile. Please make sure to follow me at Xen Sams. That's Zen with an X, not a Z. And remember, we're now on TV. Tune in at watch.kpmedia.tv and catch A Moment of Xen on the Impact Live channel Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern. All episodes are also available on demand. We have such a great show lined up for you today. In our influencer segment brought to you by CCP Digital, we are featuring Desi G, a Greek-Canadian 13-year-old singer-songwriter and influencer from Vancouver, Canada, with over 1.5 million followers. Also, a big congrats to our newest sponsor, HighThere. Congrats to the team for making it onto the iHeart platform. The HighThere segment is brought to us by Kaya Now, and we are featuring CEO Leo Giel and e-commerce pioneer Stormy Simon, who's board director at HighThere. Now, HighThere is a much-needed virtual space for cannabis users and enthusiasts to connect, backed by a very strong medical community and built upon the principles of demystifying the stigma of the century-old plant. And today, we are chatting about the medicinal uses of cannabis and defining who today's users are. In our Innovation and Tech segment, brought to you by Caldwell Soames, we are featuring Adryenn Ashley, blockchain queen, #1 female blockchain influencer, a public speaker, a podcaster, and a TV host. She is joined by returning contributor Paul Caldwell, chairman and CEO of Caldwell Soames, discussing NFTs, the metaverse, women in blockchain, and her upcoming new book, Minting the Future. In our culinary and wine segment, brought to you by Bice Cucina, we are featuring Peter Guimaraes live from Bice Cucina in Midtown Manhattan. Peter is going to make us his amazing Empress Purple Gin Martini as he gives us his opinion on the current political climate. We'll be right back after this. You're listening to A Moment of Xen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. Stay tuned for our influencer, Desi G.
If you've missed out dining in New York City for the past year, it's time to visit the legendary Bice Cucina. Located in the heart of Midtown, Bice specializes in blending delicious Northern Italian and American cuisine with dishes such as the incredible taglione lobster, ravioli masala, ossobuco, and pappardelle al telefono, along with many other mouthwatering offerings. You deserve a great night out. Call Bice Cucina 212-757-2600 or online at bicecucina.com.
Of Xen is brought to you by HighThere, a creative community exploring the culture, craft, and science of cannabis. HighThere believes that we have a collective responsibility towards eradicating the stigma, misinformation, and inequities surrounding this plant so we can unlock its true potential for all. To become involved and find out what all the excitement is about, download the HighThere app from the App Store and Google Play. HighThere, HighThere.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Xen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I am your host, Xen Sams. Now, coming on in just a few is a real treat. In our influencer segment, we are featuring Desi G. She's a 13-year-old singer-songwriter born and raised in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. She's amassed over 1.5 million followers on social media. Now, she started performing on stage when she was just 6 years old. She plays the violin, the piano, and the clarinet. She released her first album this past October of all original music called Lucid Thoughts. Her dream is to sing on the stages of Las Vegas. Her first song, Mixed Emotions, has had 1 million streams on Spotify. She claims that singing takes away the barriers of age, gender, and race. And aside from music, Desi advocates for mental health awareness. A few of her songs were written as a coping mechanism. Now, as she gets settled into the broadcast room, let's chat. If your child loves music, you already understand some of the benefits that come along with this. Learning music is a hobby that fills a passionate child with pride. Children who learn to play an instrument tend to become better students in other subjects as well. Learning music requires a very high level of concentration. Practicing music has been shown to increase IQ scores in groups of children as compared to those who don't play an instrument at all. Practice makes perfect is a phrase commonly quoted to children. Perfection is a stretch and shouldn't be what anyone is striving to reach, but practice is a value that will translate to many successes throughout your child's lifetime. And living proof of this is the beautiful and talented Desi. Welcome to the show, beautiful girl.
Hey, thank you for having me.
All right, I'm so excited to interview you. So, just in a few months, you have gone from 0 to 60 overnight. Tell me about how you got to 1.4 million followers and what your claim to fame is.
All right. Well, I started posting in 2019. I posted my first ever photo, and I wasn't really thinking anything of it. I just wanted to release some music, see where it goes, do it for fun. Um, and my two main platforms were Instagram and Facebook. Well, fast forward, after a few months of posting, one of my videos on Facebook um, went viral. It got over 7 million views. And then I started building a social media base, a fan base on Facebook. And through there, just over the years, have gone to Instagram as well, and now onto TikTok. And it's just always growing. And yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for that one video, I don't know where I would be. So,
And that's a shame that you don't know where you would be if it wasn't for that video, because your voice is absolutely spectacular. You sound
you.
like an opera singer at times. I've heard you all over TikTok and Instagram. People love your voice. What does your training routine look like?
Well, I have singing lessons twice a week. Every day I usually I have this thing called the nebulizer, and it's like it's supposed to help get your vocal cords ready. So I do that. I drink a lot of water. I warm up every day, and I guess that's it. It's nothing too crazy, but it's just the consistency that really makes a big
Consistency
effect.
is key. Yes, and you
Yes.
write your own music, and
Mhm.
you say that your music is also a coping mechanism, and you
For sure.
advocate for mental health disorder. Tell me
Yes.
what the pandemic taught you.
It's taught me a lot. Things started really growing during the pandemic, I've got to say. So there's a lot of challenges, especially with music videos and recordings and booking studio time. It was really difficult. So I had to resort a lot of in-home stuff. Um, Luckily, with the support of my family, we got through it. But I did have to rely on a few green screens to make some music videos happen. So, um, yeah, definitely a
So
roller
where do you
coaster of
typically
emotions.
perform? Are you touring? Do you get booked for events? What does your career path look like?
Well, just recently, because of COVID, it's really hard to perform. I know other musicians out there will relate to that. But recently, now that some of the mandates here have been brought down, I have been sitting at receptions, and recently I just sung at a bridal fashion show.
Congratulations.
Thank
I know
you.
you're going to sing for us a little bit later on in a few minutes,
Mhm.
but tell me who your inspiration is.
I've got to say, since I was little, I've always been a huge fan of Whitney Houston and Celine Dion. Just the way they carry themselves, their performance, their voice, their control, everything about them. I just really aspire to be like that. And also, like Billie Eilish, how she brought her own alternative genre up. That's what my goal is to create my own sort of
Well, your
music.
voice is very unique, and you
Thank you.
definitely lend yourself to that unique category.
Thank you.
When I hear you, I close my eyes and I don't see a 13-year-old girl. I hear a woman, which is phenomenal and beautiful at the same time. If you could choose any other career, not singing, what would it be?
Definitely, um, I would definitely go into the medical field. Since I was little, I've always been so fascinated with the human body and how it works, and I love the thought of being able to help people and change their lives for the better. So, Yeah, definitely would go into the medical
Medical
field.
field. Okay.
Yeah.
And tell me about your family, because I know that you have a very supportive mom and dad, and your family are your number one fans. Talk to me about them.
Right. Well, my mom, since actually everyone from the beginning has been full on support, but I really have to thank my mom. She has been my momager and she's been with me, supporting me and helping me, and without her I wouldn't be able to be doing what I'm doing now. Also with my grandma, she learned how to use Instagram for me. And they're my two biggest fans,
I
and I
love
don't know
it.
what I would do
Now,
without them.
after school, I heard you work. Where do you work?
Yes. Actually, I don't have an actual job. It's more like music related. I
Oh,
do a
music.
little
Yeah, like
music
you're working towards your
music
career, writing and
production. Yeah.
got it, got it, got it. Well, that's still work. That definitely counts. So if you speak Greek, right?
Ne, I speak Greek.
Ne.
Ne.
I love it. To Koritsaki, when she speaks Greek. So what other languages do you speak?
I speak Greek fluently.
And English. What about some
and
French?
English.
Because you are in Vancouver, Canada, aren't you?
I don't speak French. Everyone asks me if I speak French because, I'm from Canada. Oh my gosh, obviously she speaks French, but no, I don't. I used to go to French immersion, but unfortunately, it's flown away from my brain.
I get it. I get it. Well, listen, I was born in Montreal, et je parle très bien français. Je parle 4 langues. But at the end of the day, speaking 4 languages when you are on the radio is definitely a good thing. But the fact that you are 13 and you speak fluent Greek, that's also quite impressive, because there's people in my generation that don't speak Greek and never learned it. So again, hat off to your mom and dad for instilling that in you. If you you're going to sing for us in about a minute, but if you could give advice to other children out there who want to follow their dreams of being a singer, what would it be?
Honestly, there's going to be a bunch of hard days, and trust me on that. There's going to be moments where you rethink everything, question if things are going to take place and happen. But honestly, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So keep your head up, keep on going, and do anything to achieve your goals.
Wise words, my dear girl. You are an old soul. Okay, what are you going to sing for us today?
I'm going to be singing All I Want by Olivia Rodrigo.
Okay, take it away.
Okay.
Found a guy, told me I was a star. He held the door, held my hand in the dark. And he's perfect on paper, but he's lying to my face. Does he think that I'm the kind of girl who needs to be saved? And there's one more boy, he's from my past. We fell in love, but it didn't last. 'Cause the second I figure it out, he pushes me away. And I won't fight for love if you won't meet me halfway. And I say that I'm through, but this song's still for you. All I want is love to last. Is it all too much to ask? Is there something wrong with me? And all I want is a good guy. All my expectations fall too high. Try my best, but what can I say? All I have is myself at the end of the day. But shouldn't that be enough for me?
I'm going to be singing a little snippet of Trust Myself from my album Lucid Thoughts.
All of our memories replay inside my mind. How could I be so blind? All of our memories
love it. Yay, that was beautiful. You have the voice of an angel, my dear girl. Well, we're out of time, but thank you so much for gracing us with your presence and angelic voice. It was an honor to have you on.
Yes, it was an honor to be on here. Thank you so much for having me.
You got it. Guys, you have to check her out. Check her out on her website, desimusic.com, or check her out on the gram at DesiG.music. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. That was our influencer segment with Desi G. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OG Pay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OG Pay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out ogpay.com.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Revere Securities. Revere is committed to building a relationship of trust in which they work closely with you to help you define your objectives, explore alternatives, and choose the financial and investment strategies that are most appropriate for you. Go to reveresecurities.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next, I'm so excited to introduce our newest sponsor, kicking off the HighThere segment by Kaya Now. Can you guess what type of platform HighThere is? Well, I'll give you a hint. High is spelled H-I-G-H. Still nothing? It's associated to a plant. High and plant. Yup, you guessed it. We're talking about cannabis. Leo Giel, CEO of Kaya Now, will be joining us regularly, bringing us the latest in cannabis edutainment. One of Kaya's focuses is on the development of the HighThere platform and app, where you will find a cannabis-friendly social network. Today, Leo is coming on to chat cannabis and some, but he's coming on with reinforcement. That's right. In order for us to help pave the way even further for the century-old plant, we need to educate the masses on its uses, clarify the misconceptions, and debunk the myths. Hence, Stormy Simon, an e-commerce pioneer, a corporate leader, a cannabis activist. Now, Stormy landed at Overstock.com way back in 2001 as a temp. She spent 15 years at the company, ending her remarkable tenure in 2016 as both a board member and president. That's when she surprised the business world by venturing into the cannabis industry, bridging her advocacy with her professional life. She is now board director at Kaya Now. As they get settled into the broadcast room, let's chat. During a year that saw hundreds of thousands of American deaths and widespread suffering, so-called vice industries thrived. Whether for mental health needs, self-medication, or pure recreation, the consuming public hoarded alcohol and other substances in an effort to cope with the outbreak and social isolation that took place over the last 24 months. And one of the biggest beneficiaries was the cannabis industry, which saw explosive growth. That's expected to continue well into the next decade and beyond as an increasing number of states legalize recreational marijuana use. Americans purchased $18 billion in cannabis products over the past calendar year alone. And here to chat some more are Leo Giel and Stormy Simon. Welcome to the show, superstars.
Hey, Zen. It's good to be here.
Good morning, Zen. Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. Okay, Leo, congrats on HighThere. HighThere believes that you have a collective responsibility towards eradicating the stigma and all this misinformation and inequities surrounding this plant. And it's a very much needed virtual space for cannabis users and enthusiasts to connect and come together. What is your mission with the HighThere app? Talk to me.
Honestly, Zen, highest level, we want to connect every cannabis consumer in the world. And that doesn't mean you have to consume it by inhaling it. That could mean you just want to learn about it. That means you might want to use edibles, you might want to use creams, or you might just want to make some friends because you are a cannabis open or friendly individual. So that's it. You know, we just want to play a place that folks can be safe and comfortable and free. The problem is, the big tech guys, they don't allow you to create cannabis related content. And if you do, you get kicked off their platform. So that's why we're here. Come to us at HighThere. We're happy to have you. We'll protect you. And you're free to speak how you want to speak as long as you respect our rules and respect one another.
I love it. And you can get started directly. You could get started on the app with just your Facebook profile. I know I did it myself. And from there, you can find your friends and your professional contacts. It was really kind of a one-step process. I started chatting with others and in groups right away. I started checking out all the reviews and I was very impressed. You guys even have local dispensary finders on that, which is great. Stormy, so excited to have you on.
So happy to be here.
All right, let's dive right into who is today's cannabis user. Okay, so companies across industries are chasing this attractive new demographic. This dream customer, right, is more likely to own pets and to love fashion, to want kids and to consider starting their own businesses. This specific demographic that I'm talking about, and you know who it is, we also make quite a bit of money and we're still spending it during the pandemic. Yes. That's right. I'm talking about cannabis users. Such an attractive demographic. In fact, some consumer goods and technology companies, Stormy, are actively courting them as customers. Hence HighThere app. What do you say to this?
I say it's about time. Like, it is time for the revolution of not just this plant, but many plants. But it's a perfect time for something like HighThere. And we've seen things since cannabis started becoming legal, or at least going through state functions versus just being on the street. It's time for there to be a voice that is the people's voice, not the government's voice, because the people's voice for the past 40 years, however long our war on drugs has been the correct voice. Our government voice has been quite a bit distorted with stigma and fear in prisons in regard to plants. We want to take all of that and throw it away. It's time. It's our time to do this. So HighThere, what it began as a way just to connect with consumers. Like, where's a professional consumer like myself who maybe worked at a company and found success while benefiting from the usage of cannabis? Well, there's not many out there that talk about it like I do. In HighThere, I can find my group, I can create my group, and that's how it started. And today, the contributors of the content, the support from within the community and the team that's actually putting this together, it's not a joke. It's not because we're high. It's because we're concerned that our medicine has gotten off tracks, that our voices are being suppressed, that legitimate businesses aren't being treated the same. We want to give them a platform, the audience, and the people's voice, all there on HighThere. And then, eventually the government's going to catch up to the wisdom and start allowing this plant to us and through science in the means that it should be. And in the meantime,
exactly,
we will deliver trustable content.
Couldn't agree more. And gone are the old cliches about washed up stoners, right? An MRI, actually, it's an MRI Simon survey from 2020 showed that people who consumed cannabis were 22% more likely than non-cannabis users to seek out variety in their everyday lives. There was another 32% more likely to want to be first to try new products and services, and 25% more likely to make impulse purchases. All right, well, that's not the best one, but that's still a good one to know from a marketing perspective.
Anyway. Yeah, that's true.
And it's funny because we're also good at influencing. There's 27% more likely to keep social media feeds updated and 25% more likely to share their opinions by posting ratings or reviews, which is great. So now I'm going to shift this to Leo, who is the business guy behind it all. Leo, let's chat science meets the plant. According to the Alcohol and Drug Foundation, CBD dominates as a treatment for different seizure disorders. Furthermore, cannabis has shown very promising results with its ability to kill cancer. It has been shown to treat not just the symptoms of chemotherapy that most people think of, like vomiting or loss of appetite, but it actually treats the cancer symptoms. Okay, so it has shown potential to kill the cancer cells themselves. And this is research that matters, and it's facts that matter. Talk to me about the importance of research in this field and how important it is for the community to have the medical professionals support the cannabis industry on the HighThere platform and throughout.
Sure. That's a great point, Zen. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to discuss that. I can tell you I have 4 children. My second oldest daughter developed a rare form of epilepsy. And after numerous scary incidents of rushing her to the hospital, not knowing what's happening, And the hospital is saying, your daughter is exhausted. She's tired. She's dehydrated. My wife and I kept scratching our heads. And the last time she had a seizure, we took her in, and my wife and my mother-in-law went to work while we were in the medical emergency room and started looking for symptoms online. And they actually helped the doctors discover it was a rare form of epilepsy. The good news is it happens when you're sleeping, which is safer because you're not moving around. But the problem was they were misdiagnosing her. So we went to see a very well-known doctor, and he said, listen, take these pharmaceutical pills, everything will be better. And we said, hold on. And we actually went the alternative route, and we looked into CBD, and it helped her tremendously, avoided us getting involved in the pharmaceutical industry and being, in need of this particular drug. And I started thinking, this was probably 6 or 7 years ago, I started thinking, wow, how often does this happen? And if you go into our community and you look around, you'll see hand raisers. Hey, I was addicted to Oxycontin. I was addicted to Percocet. I used cannabis to get off of these pharmaceutical drugs. And I thought that was one of the most beautiful things. And it ties into what both of you are saying here today. The time is for the people to take control, make our own decisions, and be smart about what we put in our bodies.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so we hired a team of doctors to also help, who are cannabis friendly doctors, to help bring awareness, because cannabis can be overwhelming. There's so many products, and marketers got involved, and you want to make smart decisions. But we got a team of doctors, and if I have it my way, one day you'll have free online access to our medical team to help guide you. But I think it's time to open our minds. And with the use of the internet, there's so many options out there that you just don't have to rely on the pharmaceutical drugs that we used to.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Okay, so I'm going to throw this to Stormy right now because we have about 3 minutes left, and I want to chat high-level users before we cut to a commercial break. But there's a lot of science. THC is psychoactive. The CBD has antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. Ideally, medical marijuana is a mix of components in a ratio such that the psychoactive effects are minimal and medicinal effects are maximized. I'm a huge advocate of the plant, a high-level daily licensed user. I use a 50-50 ratio in the daytime and a 20-1 high THC in the evenings. Talk to me, Stormy. What inspired you to turn to cannabis? You have about 2 minutes.
A couple things, I think. First of all, without the education, in 2016 and prior, you were kind of wondering why cannabis worked for you. Am I just a stoner? Is there something beneficial? Well, 15, 16 years into my overstock journey, it was a long time. I did a lot of work there. All of a sudden, I start hearing this recreational states. Like all of a sudden, the states are ahead of the federal government, and it's going to happen. So the idea that history was literally being made, in a history that I thought I'd never see, and the ramifications of each piece that this plant touches, from medicine to prisons to businesses, it is within our universe every day. And to not jump into this industry, to say, I'm going to stand on the sidelines after I found benefit from this plant my whole life, most of my life, it didn't feel authentic to me. I thought I was going in as part of this green rush, but the people, the sickness, and the politics actually turned me into more of an activist. And, I couldn't be more happy with the decision I made, even though, I haven't made a ton of money doing it, but I am passionate about the movement and the end of this particular prohibition and what that does for all of us in 100 years.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, and as cannabis becomes more culturally acceptable and legalization spreads across the nation, this trend is only going to continue. I was reading a report from New York Frontier Data. They project that the legal marijuana industry in the U.S. alone is going to swell to $42 billion by 2025. So you're right on point, Stormy. Well, that's the end of our segment. Thank you so much for joining me, Leo. It was so insightful, and thank you so much, Stormy. You are just a bundle of energy and filled with so much information. Thank you.
Thank you, Xen.
Thank you so much, Xen.
Bye, guys.
Well, listen, guys, at the end of the day, all in all, cannabis is used to supplement the healing process of acute and chronic ailments, not just people getting high. That's why it's essential to support the cause and study to understand its full potential as a medicine. Hopefully, with the spread of the right information and research support, we can see more conclusive results sooner than later. But here's what you guys have to do. Head to HighThere.com. That's where you will find your safe haven. HighThere.com, and definitely check out the app. Download it at HighThere app. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. That was our Hi There segment by Kaya Now. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Welcome back to our Hi There segment by Kaya Now. We are chatting with CEO Leo Giel, and we're chatting economy and legalization of marijuana. Now, the legalization of marijuana throughout the country could create up to 1 million jobs by the year 2025 in the U.S. alone. Now, workers are needed to farm, process, distribute, and sell marijuana and all of its related products. Medical cannabis has not only created jobs, but has also generated a significant amount for taxes. For instance, Colorado back in 2019 collected more than $302 million in taxes and fees on medical and recreational marijuana. Now, as an investor in the space, Leo, where is this emerging and very disruptive industry headed?
It's going to go to the moon. Honestly, we hired on the former editor-in-chief of High Times, and this is a big area of focus. So, we're a technology company, but we're also very keen on editorial, and some of the data insights we glean off of our platform are the amount of people looking to get into this space. So we're working to build relevant resources and content to help community to get into this space. They want to work in this space, and I think we're just getting started. And if you think about not only the US, the potential for this market globally, it's projected to be about $170 billion industry in the next 5 years, and we're really excited about it. And we want to be a source for individuals to come and learn and get involved in the industry, and we're hiring ourselves. So if you're looking to get in the industry, go to HighThere.com, send us a message. We'd love to talk with you.
I couldn't agree more. Love it. All right, Stormy, let's talk about street drugs here, because I'm completely against street drugs. So the FDA's alert specifically warns against buying vaping products from the street. In fact, a recent article back in September suggested that the dangers related to non-medical marijuana vaping products could even lead to federal cannabis legalization, which would allow regulatory boards to make sure harmful agents are not included. Just like the days when alcohol was outlawed in the United States, back when thousands of people died every year as a result of tainted liquor produced in the underground and black markets. What do you say to this, and where do you think the gap is for curbing street drugs and really going the regulatory route?
Well, it's a complicated story, because street drugs, when we talk about cannabis, we can put it in a bucket. It's education, right? It's telling people, it's legalization. The FDA comes out and says, hey, if you vape like this, it's very dangerous. Don't buy it off the street. And you're living in a state that you don't have access to it. Yet the FDA is telling you something is bad and they're not providing your alternative of safety. There's a lot of things to comb through. It gets very tangled quickly, because the real answer is, why not? If we really have a war on drugs, it would mean getting cannabis completely off the street, as it's not a drug in that form, and start addressing some of the other dangers that people are having to experience through their street drugs, because their pharmaceutical drugs aren't supporting them yet. So yes, on legalization, when we talk about this vaping thing, I think about kids in high school. If we are not talking about this without a stigma, if you can talk to your child about this by putting your cannabis in your medicine cabinet next to your other stuff, maybe that's a shift. But what you can't do is pretend like it doesn't exist, and neither should the federal government.
I couldn't agree more because, when you look at the street drugs, they in fact all contain vitamin E acetate. And we know that this has attracted a lot of attention, right, as a result of these oil cartridges, they all contain them, versus the dispensary where they use cannabis derived terpenes, right, in all of the vape pens. And this is clearly what is reducing the viscosity of cannabis extracts for vaping. But a lot of children, a lot of teens are buying things off the street, like you said, because there is a gap in the market. There is the stigma. Their parents are going to be afraid, their mom and dad won't support them. So I do believe that we should be headed towards the right educational platforms and should be steering traffic to educate the public first before we just start pushing everybody to start consuming.
And that's one of the reasons. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I agree. And I just wanted to put a period on that with saying, we all have children, grandchildren, and they attend when I talk about this. It needs to be a part of a conversation. These children are growing through a stigma that will become a very important medicine in their life. So it's very confusing. They're buying that off the street thinking it's good because there are stores that have it. It's a very important conversation to have with teenagers right now. Extremely important.
Yes,
I'll tell you, one of the reasons why we started to develop a medical staff at HighThere was I heard horrible stories, so many, actually tragic stories about fentanyl and street drugs. And I thought, wow, we have to be the ones to fix this. So we're going to continue to invest in medical resources. We're going to continue to develop tools on how to source, use, and learn about cannabis responsibly, because there's so much that goes into this. And like you said, it's confusing. If you're, just like someone who's going to begin drinking, a kid who's 21 who can begin drinking, if you don't know how to drink responsibly, you might drink and go get in a car and, but obviously that's not in today's world because there's a lot of resources that tell you otherwise. But as it pertains to cannabis, there's so many people just turning the other way, conflicting messages, and we're going to solve that problem. That's a big mission for the company.
Yep, couldn't agree more. Well, we're out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. Leo, pleasure talking to you. Stormy, thank you so much for all your insight.
Thanks, Zen.
Thanks, Zen. Have a great day.
Thanks, Leo, and thanks, Stormy. Now, also, for the naysayers out there, studies indicate no statistical association between cannabis smoking or use and any incidence of lung cancer, head cancers, or neck cancers. It basically boils down to what you are inhaling, not the actual act of inhaling that is causing concern. And all street cannabis oil cartridges do contain something called vitamin E acetate, and that is definitely a chemical you don't want to be inhaling. I think that the mainstreaming of medical cannabis is going to depend a lot on state level industries' ability to develop products that appeal to customers' health needs. And also it's going to depend on whether or not companies are able to work with the government to enable further access. But there is one platform that is a safe haven. Make sure you check out HighThere.com. HighThere spelled HIGH, and make sure you check them out on the gram at HighThere app. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. That was our HighThere segment brought to us by Kaya Now.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OG Pay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OG Pay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out ogpay.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I am your host, Zen Sams. Now, coming up in our Innovation and Tech segment brought to you by Caldwell Soames, we have returning contributor Paul Caldwell, chairman and CEO of Caldwell Soames. And today we are chatting with Adryenn Ashley, who got her first Bitcoin in 2009, wrote HTML before the internet was born, and designed her first NFT way back in 2015 before it was even a thing. She was was also named #1 woman blockchain influencer in the world. She has now launched Foxies.art, a global nonprofit campaign to educate over 1 million women and children in blockchain development and entrepreneurship. Her next book, which is coming out right around the corner, is called Minting the Future, and it's all about NFTs and the metaverse. Now, as they get settled into the broadcast room, let's chat metaverse, NFTs, gaming, and the rise of a new economy. Now, NFTs are the focal point of the metaverse, and for good reason. They enable ownership in a digital world that mimics the real world. For instance, your identity in the metaverse can be represented by an avatar made in the form of an NFT. This allows you to have a unique, tamper-proof identity in a virtual world. Speaking of virtual worlds, following the emergence of blockchain-powered games, the concept of play-to-earn games gained tons of popularity. Now, this model disrupts traditional gaming by giving players full ownership of in-game assets in the form of NFTs. Now, as a result, players can generate revenue through these items by selling them on secondary marketplaces. Now, this new paradigm of blockchain-based gaming is setting things right in an industry that has mostly always favored developers and gaming companies. Now, with blockchain gaming, the ecosystem becomes more equitable for all people, from developers of the game to the game players. Moreover, with blockchain enabling true ownership of in-game items, developers can empower players and incentivize sustainable game economy growth without losing control over game operations. But in order for all this to make sense, this requires an understanding of the different ways in which digital assets can be created and the ways they truly shape a parallel economy built on DeFi. And here to chat some more are my experts at hand. Welcome back, Paul.
Thanks, Zen.
You are on so often, we're going to change the name of the show to A Moment of Paul. Ashley, beauty and brains. I love it. So glad to have you on. Okay, we're going to start with you. Talk to me about how you are using NFTs to empower women and drive female engagement in crypto, because I know that Foxies.art is really one of your passion projects. How will this help educate over 1 million women and children and women and girls in blockchain development and entrepreneurship?
So Web3 enables us to have a more global economy. So there's no barriers to entry and there are no geographic boundaries. So the great part about working in blockchain and helping to upskill women who are already mobile developers and web developers is to also inspire the children in STEM, to get the girls in STEM early, and also make sure that we work on their confidence and their self-esteem so that they stay that same brilliant, fabulous 5-year-old girl who could take on the world. And that's what we're doing through a Web3 portal. And just for those of you who don't know, Web3 is a blockchain enabled, and blockchain means we can give you a sovereign digital ID. So you are certain that it is you and you own your stuff.
I love it. With the overall, essentially, while the overall technology sector has repeatedly come under fire for its lack of gender diversity, what you're bringing up is extremely critical, because the blockchain industry is trying to break out of that mold. And it may be, too early to claim that equitable gender distribution has come to blockchain. However, it's definitely worthwhile to take a stock at how far we've come, because in 2018, a survey of about 100 blockchain startups showed that only about 15% of jobs were held by women. So thank you for doing what you do.
You're welcome. And that was also mostly marketing and administrative. It was only 7% technological in the tech teams. So, and having CTOs as females is even more rare. And it's even more rare in gaming. If you look, and blockchain enabled gaming with this play to earn is really changing the world. You have people in third world countries able to jump on and play these games and earn a full-time income.
Yes. And I love the segue. This is going to be great, because Paul is going to jump right in right here. Finish what you're saying.
Oh, I was going to say, it just enables new economies. And it does also allow people, like one of our 14-year-olds from the Billionaire Zombies Club launched his project, and he's made college money already.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
those are the types of stories that we love to hear, because I'm going to flip this to Paul now, and we're going to talk about asset ownership and how that is truly the pathway out of poverty. We're in sync here, Adryenn. You just literally had the next question at hand. So with 1.4 billion unbanked people, Paul, in the world who have no way to enter the traditional banking system, they can't get a loan, they can't get a credit card, they can't buy a car, they can't sell anything, right? This is taken for granted by most of us in the developed world. But cryptocurrencies and NFTs, to Adrienn's point, change this paradigm. Now these 1.4 billion people immediately have an opportunity to have a wallet, participate in digital marketplaces, create art, music. This truly feels revolutionary, like we are changing the world. What do you say to this, Paul?
I agree. It is changing the world. I mean, the world is ever changing anyway. It's like transactions; they're all good. It just depends on what side of the transaction you're on. And in this space, it really has to be thought about in a way that people pay attention to the things that matter most. You know, it's kind of what matters most, and then first things first, because it's very easy to get caught up in hyperbole around technology. It's metaverse comes off the tongue very easily, right? But how do you create real value? How does a person create real value? And Adryenn mentioned the Web3 and blockchain and owning your stuff, and that's really kind of where it starts at the end of the day. But one thing I want to talk about just for a second in relationship to this is, we're private equity firm, and we're not in the startup business. We're not into venture capital. We are later stage investors typically. We started investing in this space in 2016, and I got to tell you, at that point, it was so embryonic. It felt like we were getting into venture, right? But we didn't, and we took some mature technologies and advanced those in the space, and they're now things like ogpay.com, for example, which is a global payments platform. We recently funded a game developer that's been developing their games for almost 20 years, but now moving those into this metaverse environment, and so forth. So we're looking at the convergence, that intersection, and how it impacts unbanked. You can look at unbanked and underbanked people as mature people, 18, and above. But I got to tell you, a lot of participants in this space are much younger than that are doing very well for themselves in this space. So it's not, they're definitely unbanked, but that's only because they're not old enough to get their own bank account yet without their parents' signature. But they certainly can develop and start to build assets in the metaverse through minting their own NFTs. They don't even have to sell them. They don't have to engage in commerce at this point. They can just begin the asset development process. And then once they grow older, I have a 16-year-old, a 13-year-old, and an 11-year-old. I got to tell you, they're all about this stuff. They hear me, I come home and I talk about it. They watch some of these shows sometimes, my daughter especially. So she's all into this now. And it amazes me how fast they catch on and how natural it becomes to them very quickly. It's not alien script to them. It's natural to them. So I find that very interesting. So I think that has a lot to do with how it scales. When you have 1.4 billion unbanked people, one of the biggest challenges we have, I was just in Turkey meeting with the company that we're acquiring to merge into OGPay. And I got to tell you something, educating all of those people that are currently unbanked about how to use decentralized finance-based technologies and infrastructure, that's not easy either.
Right,
you just
right.
don't take it into a community in South Africa in Soweto and
you
say,
have to
here's my
transition
app.
it. Yeah, you have to transition it in. Well, we don't have that much time, and I definitely want to hear some more from Adryenn here. But what you're saying is essentially, Paul, the basic premise of Web3 is that every product is simultaneously an investment opportunity, and really that's where you're looking at it from. Now, Adryenn, I definitely want to hear from you regarding the social impact side. What is really exciting is the positive influence NFTs can have in this world, because they can represent the cause or a goal that people worked hard for, a unique moment in time that made the world a better place, so to speak. And I know that you're about social activism, but the best part about these NFTs is they can inspire others to perform acts of altruism, and that these goods are obtained through the currency of social impact. Talk to me about how this is revolutionizing things on the social impact side. You have about 3 minutes.
Okay, so I wanted to actually address one of the things that Paul was saying about the transitioning. And when you're talking about bringing people into Web3 and bringing people into blockchain, it's a double-edged sword, because you have this amazing benefit and this potential to really do good, but you also have a danger in that they don't know. So this onboarding process, especially into NFTs, one of the things where I always recommend OG Pay is it's the only wallet that's actually insured. So, you're not going to worry that if somebody steals your stuff or your stuff is not authentic because they guarantee the NFTs that they sell, you're not going to have to worry about that. So it's kind of like a hybrid between having a custodial and a non-custodial. Actually, on Foxy's, we give out a worksheet. I lovingly call it "How Not to Lose Your because people lose their stuff. Even I lost my own MetaMask keys for 48 hours, which inspired me to write this little mini handbook and teach people how to not do that. But that's the key piece, right? So for social impact, everybody knows how to pick up the phone, dial in, give them a credit card number and make a donation, but not everybody knows how to open up a MetaMask or, get onto an exchange, do the full KYC, upload some money, then have some crypto, then know what to do with it. There's a whole onboarding process that we're in the process of teaching people right now. And that's the key thing. And to the point of, children aren't old enough to have bank accounts. That is very true. But you know what children are old enough to do? Install a Chrome plugin, open a MetaMask, and boom, they have a sovereign wallet, their keys, their money. That's kind of the whole representation of blockchain, which is personal responsibility and self-reliance. Kind of like my handshake is a contract, my word is a bond. That mentality that we have lost in society is the cornerstone of blockchain. And that is what it's going to help bring back.
Yes, well said. Amen, sister. You said it. Well, at the end of the day, once we're looking at when you're looking at this from a bird's eye view and you're looking at the pockets of the world that it could help change, right? Like India has the most crypto owners in the world at about 100 million compared to about 27 million in the United States and 17 million in Russia, right? And the sales of NFTs have surged nearly $11 billion just in the third quarter of last year. That's up more than eightfold from the previous quarter. So what you're seeing is a very telling economy. It's headed in a certain direction for a reason. And when you have, advocates like yourself, like Paul Caldwell, with very proprietary and revolutionary platforms like OG Pay or the original Two Digital Corporation or NFT platforms like Foxys.art, that's where you start to open your eyes and say, wait a minute, let me wake up, because the worst thing you could do is not become part of this process and be left behind.
Exactly. And that's why what we're doing with Foxys.art, I was originally going after the female founders, but they want the sophisticated lady boss kind of thing. And what I realized is I minted My Little Pony. And so all of my buyers are daddies with daughters. And I was shocked about this. But then I realized the whole point of what we're doing is to inspire these women and these girls who are not yet successful female founders and entrepreneurs, and to give them the tools and the access to the resources and the mentors that they want. So kind of like how CryptoKitties has a breeding engine and you breed new things, our breeding engine actually not only breeds new things, it also kicks off a scholarship for a woman or a girl. So as we go through the breeding and creating this massive collection, that's how we're educating the women and financing it. So for $250, which is the cost of a Foxy, you can literally start that basically an endowment to educate all of these women and bring in all of these resources. And all the mentors are volunteering. Everyone is volunteering.
I love it.
Because we need more women. We have a shortage of blockchain engineers.
You're right. We do. So we have now come out of our 14-minute segment. We're out of time, but you definitely outdid yourself, because it's the first segment where Paul Caldwell got less words in than the women on the platform. Thank you so much.
That's the plan, right?
That's the plan. But, Paul is our biggest fan. And I love how you support women. Coming off of Women's History Month during, this second day in April, we're definitely excited that we have such supportive sponsors like Caldwell Soames. Both of you, thank you so much for joining us. It was such a pleasure talking.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Take care.
Absolutely. Well, it is hopeful to know that the pioneers of blockchain developed this technology with the intention to democratize and uplift global citizens. It will be critical that the originators stay true to their beliefs, especially when money, power, and acquisition offers from big companies start coming in this way. And as we enter into this new era of futuristic technological advances, each one of us has the power to shape this new world and our society by the very choices that we make. We are at the very beginning of this evolution. Let's enter it in with awareness of the world we want to participate in, who we want to give power to, and how we want to shape the future of civilization. That was our innovation and tech segment. Make sure you check out Adryenn Ashley's upcoming book, Minting the Future. Also check out her NFT collection at Foxy's.art, and check her out all over the internet at Adryenn, spelled Adryenn. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WR, the voice of New York. That was our innovation and tech segment brought to you by Caldwell Soames. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Revere Securities. Revere is committed to building a relationship of trust in which they work closely with you to help you define your objectives, explore alternatives, and choose the financial and investment strategies that are most appropriate for you. Go to reveresecurities.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I am your host, Zen Sams. Now, coming up in our culinary and wine segment brought to us by Bice Cucina, we are featuring Peter Guimaraes, a restaurateur with very strong political opinions. He is owner of the Bice Cucina in Midtown Manhattan, as well in Palm Beach. Now, I'm going to be transporting you to Bice Cucina in Midtown, where Peter will be mixing a signature purple gin martini, Empress, and an extraordinary cocktail experience that will delight your senses. Now, Empress is micro-distilled in small batch copper pot stills, and they've been around since 1908, handcrafted using 8 very carefully selected botanicals, and that's really interesting to me. Now, what might surprise you, however, is that gin has health benefits. That's right. When consumed in moderation, of course, and in fact, as early as the Middle Ages, gin was used as a form of herbal medicine. It's made up from juniper berries. These little dark purple nuggets are superfood with powers. These berries can help fight infection and prevent heart disease. They can improve blood circulation and even help fight kidney and liver disease. Now, gin is the most natural spirit, as its main ingredient is, of course, juniper berries. You don't need to worry too much about your waistline when drinking gin. That's what I discovered. According to Livestrong, gin is one of the least calorific spirits with only 97 calories per shot. Now, the juniper berries come into action by increasing the number of enzymes that break down your food and helping your digestion. This also means less bloating. Now, let's head down to Bice Cucina, where Peter is going to whip us up one beautiful purple cocktail. We'll be right back after this. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
If you've missed out dining in New York City for the past year, it's time to visit the legendary Bice Cucina. Located in the heart of Midtown, Bice specializes in blending delicious Northern Italian and American cuisine with dishes such as the incredible taglione lobster, ravioli masala, ossobuco, and pappardelle al telefono, along with many other mouthwatering offerings. You deserve a great night out. Call Bice Cucina, 212-757-2600, or online at bicecucina.com.
Today, I've been watching the hearings for the Supreme Court Justice with Ketanji Brown Jackson. And when she was asked what makes a woman, she could not answer the question. I'm no woman, but I can still answer that question. That question is merely biological, and you have to follow the science like we do for COVID, right? So if you want to know what a woman is,
boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Thanks for the tip.
So today we're going to do a simple martini gin, which is great for lunch. All the businessmen here come and order it. We're going to use Empress 1908 gin, which is actually a beautiful color. My favorite color and my daughter's favorite color, purple. So we're going to add 4 ounces normally, but you know what? Today, after that hearing nomination BS going on, I'm going to add 6 ounces. Just a little of dry vermouth. We're gonna shake it up like Katanja shaked my nerves today. If you can't even answer what a woman is, this world is going crazy, I have to tell you. And you know why I know we're going crazy? Because the drinks are getting the drinks are being bought more often at my bar. Because people are stressed out with all this left socialist stuff. And look how pretty this color is. Isn't that beautiful? Because you know, sometimes you also drink and eat with your eyes first. And I love that drink. How pretty is that?
If you've missed out dining in New York City for the past year, it's time to visit the legendary Bice Cucina. Located in the heart of Midtown, Bice specializes in blending delicious Northern Italian and American cuisine with dishes such as the incredible taglione lobster, ravioli masala, ossobuco, and pappardelle al telefono, along with many other mouthwatering offerings. You deserve a great night out. Call Bice Cucina, 212-757-2600 or online at bicecucina.com.
We are at the end of our date, my dear friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to join me right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. or go to 710wor.iheart.com/A Moment of Xen. And remember, we're now on TV. Download the KP Media TV app on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, or Android TV, or you could tune in at watch.kpmedia.tv and catch A Moment of Xen on the Impact Live channel Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern. All episodes are also available on demand. Thank you so much for listening to A Moment of Xen. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host. Congratulations to HighThere for joining our sponsor lineup. And thanks again to all of our sponsors for making the show happen. We are coming up to our 1-year anniversary and couldn't be more proud. Remember, happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it.